And we're
live.
Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing?
We're actually talking now live. I thought the 5 seconds was the countdown to the stuff going on. See, I need to be able to see these things because then I can come on in and like, good morning. Now, we need to figure out a way where, and telling the billions of people out there are failings here. And my failing is I never know when it's actually time to talk. Which is
I did the countdown. I did the countdown this time.
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Do what, Ken?
I said, welcome to A.M.O.K.
Right. It is what it is. A.M.O.K.
I do believe that if you listen to all our previous shows, I think we all start exactly the same way, and it's always massive confusion. Which, like I said, A.M.O.K is a perfect name for our group. So, yay! Hi, everyone. We're here.
We're practiced for 20 minutes before every show too.
Yeah. Well, this time we were here. Oh gosh, I think I had sent it 5 minutes after 6.
Man, look at this. We're so ready.
Oh, yeah.
Anyhow, hello.
What's
everybody.
up, Grumpy Poo? Our
Hey.
Scottish viewer. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Is she hiding now? No. Like I say, we're back in Arkansas. It's my week. And I know that's everybody's favorite week because, Arkansas is cool. The other people, I don't know. They're kind of cool. But anyhow.
We're kind of cool.
We're kind of cool.
We're not as cool as Adrian.
I'll allow you into our my circle here.
We're just warm today.
Man, I know it's Tuesday, but it feels like a Monday. It felt like a Monday.
It does. The day has been crazy. Are like all the planets in a line or something? Is there something?
They are actually.
They are.
Yeah.
That's it.
No.
I don't know. I don't.
Actually, right now.
Yeah, good times.
I can see them right now.
It's all that other gravity pulling us away. That's why I feel lighter today. I should have weighed myself. Anyhow, I don't know if that's scientific, but I'm going to go with that. Well,
did you lose your train of thought?
I started thinking,
We saw it derail.
Well, anyhow, like I said, we're in Arkansas. I'm in Arkansas. They're not, but anyhow, I got a special guest on tonight, and her name is Caroline Speir. She's over here. If you're watching us online, I don't know if you can see her or not because I don't see us. Yeah, she's right smack in the middle. I can see her here. All right.
Yeah.
Different here than it is here. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking maybe my sugar's high.
Well, see, that's why on Zoom you're right here, but on the podcast you're up here.
I'm so confused. I'm seeing two different screens here. But anyhow, Caroline, she is. What is your title there at the museum? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So right now, I'm the executive director. So when I first met you years ago now, I was doing exhibits and research. So over the years, my positions have changed, but I've been here for 15 years now. Wow. Yeah, long time. But do what?
I said fun times.
It really is. I mean, it's a good time. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. It's a new role for me, but if you count COVID, I'm already looking at 3 years back in November, which seems really kind of amazing to me because it doesn't feel that long. But
no.
But here a long time and glad to be here and enjoying this building. That's part of it is the building even as much as what I get to do. Honestly, the building's a special place.
Well, yeah, and not only is the building got some good history to it, and we can talk about that a little bit, but because it was originally a furniture store, right?
The hardware store.
No, hardware store, yeah. It sold all kinds of stuff.
It did wholesale, so everything. It sold everything.
So I know that the building layout is really cool just because of that and the age of the building, and then you throw in all this weird like museum-y stuff.
Museum-y stuff.
and that made people like us crazy because we're like, "Ooh, it's got to be haunted," and we got called out there because you guys were experiencing things, and I want Shauna to play that first little elevator
The
thing.
elevator thing.
Yeah, for all you listeners out there, we were called out to the museum, and one of the things they're talking about is every now and then they just hear this laugh, and it was a disembodied laugh. Everybody would hear it. And so when we were doing a tour, the building was coming up, and of course we're already running our audio, and you'll hear me talking, and we're not really investigating, so there's a lot of noise going on, but you're going to hear a laugh, and then I'll announce what floor we're on. So go ahead and play that.
All right.
We are on the 4th floor.
So you heard that laugh, right? So that was a sound actually the door made right as it was almost fully opened, and it was kind of wiggling closed or open, and but it didn't do it all the time. But so we did it several times that night and got it to make that sound. But that was the first time it happened, and we thought it was pretty funny that, okay, what you're supposed to do as a ghost hunter is you're supposed to disprove things first, right? So I was thinking, okay, what do we got going on? And but anyhow, but that is why we were called out there. One of the main reasons. But there's all kinds of stuff that's going on in this building. That and there was a doll room, which creeped out all the investigators. There, stuff going on down in the basement. And a nice little tidbit about the museum is when we filmed that one show with the weirdo guy. What's the name of that show? Ghost. Yes.
Oh, that weirdo guy. I thought you were talking about another one.
The ghastly trio.
Well, it was so hot during the investigation that he's like, is there any other place that we can go and do these interviews? Because they were about ready to just pack up and leave. And I said, yeah, let's go see him. And when they were doing the interviews with the people in the basement of the museum there was activity going on there. There was shadow people activity that was happening, and people were getting touched. But they never mentioned that during the show. And I was like going, this is such a drag, because here we are, they're going to investigate one place and they're in another haunted location to talk about it. And they didn't, which is what's so cool about that is it was in the middle of the day. And this first investigation that we did was in the middle of the day. And most ghost hunters, myself included, usually do our investigations at night. So you don't have to be in this place. It is haunted.
Wow.
I remember that. And I remember standing there thinking, okay, Ghost, like, if you're going to do anything, now's the time to do it, because well, you've got this group here. And they were. And I remember watching the show and there was no mention of anything that's going on. And
none.
You can stand down there and feel it,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
One of my investigators, she was wearing earrings, and something just kept trying to tug her earring. I almost pulled it out a couple times, and she's like looking, and we're pointing in the direction because they got due to the cameras like that. I'm like, over there, look over there, and they're too busy. So it's a drag because paranormal activity happening while you're filming the show. Anyhow,
yeah, that's the best stuff, though. That's the best time to catch it when you're when you're not really expecting it, though.
Yeah. But that's what's cool about it. Now you were telling me a story earlier about and it didn't sound like the elevator that we just played. You said you were hearing other giggles.
Oh yeah, so just for context, our building is a 1906 historic register building. It was built as a hardware store. We've got 62,000 square feet in this building, so it's enormous. Including the basement, there are 5 floors, and I suppose for your listeners, what we have here, it's the Fort Smith Museum of History. And so we have a full basement. First and second floors are display. So the public is in and out of those floors all the time. Third and fourth, Adrian will talk about that, is it's closed off to the public. It's our display floors. I mean, it's our collection floors. So it's where we house our collection. And we estimate 40,000 plus artifacts in this building. So over the years, it's been a number of things, but most recently, because as Adrian knows, sometimes it seems like there's a lull occasionally, and I just call it quiet.
Yeah.
Sometimes quiet for a while. And often when we get a new employee or we're changing exhibits, things like that, something will happen. And what this was a few months ago, actually about probably this time last year, come to think of it. I was in here early one morning. It was dark. There was no one in the building. My daughter was with me. I had to go speak at a group. And so I had stopped by the museum to, pick up some stuff. And we came up the elevator. And like I said, it's dark. Elevator door opens. We walk off the elevator and I hear something behind me. And I think I'm not going to say anything to her because I know she kind of likes it, but it also kind of freaks her out. She's my one that when we were with you guys at the sanitarium,
yeah.
She was feeling some really heavy things. So it kind of touches her. And so I didn't say anything intentionally, but I hear her say to me, "Did you hear that?" And I turned around and looked at her and her eyes are kind of big. And I said, "Do you mean those giggles?" And she said, "Yes." And there is no doubt in my mind. It was as clear as could be. It was two little kids, and little kids as in 4 or 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
They're very young giggles. And like I said, it's behind me, from where I'd gotten off the elevator, and they were having a good time. There was nothing scary about it. It was just their little giggles and they're playing. But what I realized later, when I came back that day, all of a sudden I thought, you know what? So I don't know if you remember, right outside my office, there was a Victorian era exhibit and it had some dolls and a doll carriage. We used to hear things there. People have said several things. That exhibit had just come down and we're working to redo that for a completely different exhibit. But so that exhibit there had been activity in it from staff. We had packed it up and whatnot. So I'm kind of thinking that it was because we had disturbed, in some way their space. But I don't think they were mad about it. They sounded like they were having a good time. So I was glad about that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what kind of exhibit was there at the time. So
yeah, it was Victorian era, and there were predominantly there was a doll carriage in there, an old doll carriage, and it had a doll in it. And that's the one spot that occasionally you would hear growl. I've not ever heard the growl, but we've had several people that have mentioned it. So that's what it was. It's a different one now, but that had happened. That had been happening probably the month before I heard these giggles.
Wow. When we did talk about dolls, when we did the second, and I'll say actual investigation, we was in there and you guys had that, when you walk in, you go downstairs, you had that little sunken thing, and that was your doll room. You had a whole bunch of dolls in there, and we usually like to hang out like a half hour at least in each room, at least a half hour. And none of my investigators wanted to stay there anytime. There was 2 dolls. There was a set. I remember that I don't know if they were like Apple dolls or whatever, but all my investigators were like fully freaked out.
Wow.
Talking about there, it's
I want to go.
I don't know if they're apple or walnut, but it's a couple, and he is standing and he has a bag that says Dr. Cure.
Yes.
And she's sitting on kind of what appears to be a bench, and she's looking up at him. But if you look at it, and to this day, it gives me creeps. It's on display in a different area, but it looks like, I'm sure it's resin. That's what I said. It's got to be resin, but it, honest to goodness, looks like skin. Like
skin. Exactly right.
It gives very voodoo vibes.
Very much so.
Oh wow.
And all my investigators, they're not afraid of anything. You know, things happen. They're like, oh, yeah, really cool. And then something scary. And they're like, hey, check that out. And they'll walk towards it. Those dolls, they were like, screw this.
Well,
I ain't going.
though, one time we moved them to a different area and I happened to be out on the floor and somebody came over and said, can you help me? I'm trying to get a picture of this doll and I like have not had any trouble with any of the others, but I can't get my camera to focus on this one. And I was thinking, you know exactly what doll I bet you're talking about. And no, I'm not going to help you. You know, I still no, they're small. They're not a large doll. This is
No.
I don't know. They're what 6 inches tall, and she's about 4. You know, it's small, but it's very disturbing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Disturbing is a good word for it.
That's probably one of the only things that has truly, as much as I'm here and it's dark and it's late, nobody else is here, and all the other things I've experienced, that may be some of the most like that truly gave me the creep and bothered me, you know.
Wow.
Nothing, but that one, yeah, I don't like it.
And nothing like being sitting on the floor in a room full of dolls and somebody hit the camera and the flash goes off and you see all these eyes looking at you and like, okay, we're done. We're done. Let's move to the radio room. And
it's like when you shine a flashlight on a spider and all the little babies are on its back. And oh, that's what that makes me think of.
Oh, cool.
No more speaking anymore, Pam.
Sorry.
You're in trouble. You're in trouble.
Do you have records of where some of these items came from?
Uh-oh.
Yes, we do. Almost everything we have a provenance or a history on. Yep.
Any history on those 2 items?
I would have to go. Do you mean the dolls?
Yes.
The dolls that I can tell you that I don't know where you all are, but here in Fort Smith we have what's called Tillis Park, and the Tillis family kind of has an interesting history, but they came here with their father. He had been widowed, and this is mid 1800s. 1870s, and within a few months of arriving, the father dies, and the children are orphaned, of course, but they're young children at that point, so they become wards of the state. Well, they grow up, they're very successful, they do some great things for the city, they give back a lot, and so we have a park here in town named after them. And one of the daughter she was very involved in education, and she became a doll collector, and we have a collection of hers. There are several thousand in the collection, actually, because even I think probably what happened partially is in her later life, people found out that she collected dolls. And so then they also collected dolls for her and brought them to her, because there are some that are very recent as the 70s. There's some Sesame Street things that she herself probably wouldn't have collected, but hers go way back, and it's part of that collection. And she has international dolls. She has some wonderful French girls that are smoking cigarettes, and then there's federal dolls, some of the president's wives. It's just a huge collection, and there are no parameters.
And you said this is the Tillis family? Like Tillis?
Tilles.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
We have a Tillis Park here, also in St. Louis.
That's interesting.
That family is actually it is Tillis. That's because that family is brothers and sisters. Your park is named after Cap Tillis.
Oh wow!
Yes,
Mama's a Tillis. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. Oh, so that's
interesting.
I believe Cap Tillis. And yes, exactly. They are. It is the same family. Yeah, I didn't know you had the same.
Yep.
Yep.
That's interesting.
That is. That's not a common name either.
No, it's not. I'm gonna have to do some research.
One of the brothers was an insurance salesman, and I don't know. They had some things to do with hot springs with the Oaklawn track down there, and there's a huge history about them. But yes, it is one of the brothers that went to St. Louis.
Great, thank you.
See, one big happy family.
Yeah. And that park, that's about 5 miles from me. So, yeah.
Oh,
Cool.
wow. That is very interesting. Huh.
Okay,
It
back
is.
to you, Adrian. Back to
Well,
Arkansas.
oh, hey, I just when we did our investigation of the place, your display floors, the first floor and the second floor, we never really experienced a whole bunch on that floor. We did experience stuff. We did an event there once on the second floor, but nothing really happened while we were there. But the second floor is one of the more interesting floors as far as, I mean, from my perspective, because you have furniture there from Judge Parker's courthouse, which
Correct.
is Judge Parker's court is behind you, right? Is that what I'm looking at out your window?
Well, actually, you're looking at Garrison Avenue,
I'm
Judge
looking
Parker.
the other way. Yeah.
Here.
But can you tell us anything about how the museum got that furniture, or why the museum had that furniture and it's not in the courthouse still?
Sure. So what he's referring to is a courthouse room. Parker, if y'all know who Parker was, and if you don't, very briefly, he was a federal judge here from 1875 to 1896. And during his time, the death penalty was hanging if you were convicted of capital crime. So rape, murder, combination thereof. So the moniker, the hanging judge, is what a lot of people know. Although, interestingly enough, it was not during his lifetime or even here in Fort Smith, but it kind of stuck after he passed away. And so a lot of True Grit, He Hanged Him High, a lot of that Western history and about the Marshals, that kind of thing, is actually takes place here in Fort Smith. And there's a lot of myth involved, but Parker became a very significant figure during that time. And so we house the original furnishings from his courtroom. Now, the chair that we have is his, and it is from 1875, and it's in pretty rough condition, but because it's so old. The rest of the courtroom furniture is on loan from the historic site. Because in 96, when we had a massive tornado, they sustained some damage and decided to restore some of the historic site. But to do that, they wanted to make part of the courtroom accessible to the public, so the public could sit in the furniture and whatnot, or on the furniture, I should say. Mm-hmm. But to do that, leave the originals. So the originals came to us, and he spent time in 2 courtrooms. One of them was about 10 years at what we call the Fort Smith National Historic Site, and another 10 years at a courthouse that is no longer there. But we house the furnishings. So our display is set up as if you would be walking into his courtroom. You can see the jury chairs and the defense and the prosecution and the witness and and it's got his bench up there.
And during our investigation, we on our second investigation, what we did, we put a drop recorder. That just means something that you leave behind. And we went down to the basement because I loved going to the basement, because every time I went to the basement, I would see a lot of shadow activity. And that's what I like to visually see things. And the stuff that's down there in the basement, like we talked, they're pretty active, and they'll like come right up to you. And I thought that was really cool. So we'd put a recorder on that thing and went downstairs. So we were 2 floors away, and we're going to play 2 audio clips. Do the one, not the loud knock. Do the first one, Shauna. If you understand what
I'm trying to, not the loud knock, but the no one around, or the
no one around. Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody was around. That happened.
Wow.
So
that's nice.
And I kept the recording real long, so you could tell that there was nothing going on beforehand, nothing happened afterwards, just that knock. And that one wasn't as impressive as this one.
The loud knock.
That she's going to play. That one's significant.
Nice.
That one way louder. And I don't know if you hear it like I hear it, but most people, it sounds like a gavel rap. Bam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, Lisa and you remember Lisa, she was here at that time. And when we first heard that, we looked at each other and it was just like, that's his gavel, because what it sounded like to us is the quiet gavel rap.
Yeah.
And then there's a few second delay. And maybe it sounds like static in this recording, although at the time it sounded like you could almost hear some papers against each other. And then you hear a louder rap, like the first rap didn't get their attention, so there's a delay for that second rap. I mean, but it was very distinguishable. That, to me, that was exactly, we just looked at each other and it was like, that's a gavel rap. I mean, exactly.
Yeah. Because the first one, I was like, okay, that pop, it sounds, I mean, it's not a pop. I mean, I labeled it as a pop, but it didn't sound like anything natural going on. It's not a building sound. It was something that was a specific sound. And then this second one, which happened a little while afterwards, we're still not on the floor. It's definitely like a gavel rap. And I have an EVP that I didn't play because it's so hard to hear. You really have to have noise canceling headphones on. But not long after that gavel rap, there's a get out.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's commotion after that. So I love the EVPs. I love that thing, but I just always find that interesting because of the significance of the furniture that the drop recorder was on. So,
right.
Was it a gavel rap? I think so.
I do too.
And
was it on the bench itself or a chair or what?
It was right on the desk, on the bench.
On the bench, okay.
Wow.
So
it's amazing.
So it was pretty cool. But we spent a lot of time actually up there, and because that to us that was like the real interesting exhibit for us, because they wouldn't let us investigate the historic site. I'm like, well, this is close. Let's do this. And we never witnessed anything there. There were times we thought we heard, because they had some plastic sheeting up along the one side, and we thought we heard what sounded like somebody going through it. But that was it. Most of our experiences happened on, like I say, the basement and the third and fourth floors. And which is the one that had the pianos on it? Is that the fourth floor or is that third floor?
That is fourth, yes. The
fourth floor. Mm-hmm. And you had those shelves and they have plastic sheeting around those. And we chased a shadow around that floor on that investigation too. It was like it was staying away from us. When we first looked, when you come off the elevator and looking down to the center of them, and you see the elevated area where all the pianos and stuff is, looked like there was a person up there. And so we split up because we thought, hey, you don't belong here. and we stayed there for quite some time. But that's an interesting area to be, because like you say, that's just stuff. And it's just there.
Stuff.
Well, everything else in the museum's an exhibit. Everything's set up.
That's true.
Display. And they have all these things, and they're just basically shelves full of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Artifacts full. It is. Well, and I've got a quick story if you don't care if I share it, Adrian. When we were on fourth, and it was with you guys, and it was the first time. It was your first or second investigation, and I knew y'all, but I had not really participated in the same way that I did that night. So you had given me the divining rods.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so we had established the yes and no questions.
Yeah.
And not long. I mean, I haven't been at the museum at that point for very long. Enough to know some things, but not enough to know what I would eventually know through research. And so we determined that I was talking to a man, and this was on fourth. I was talking to a man, and that he had been an employee of the hardware store. And this hardware store was originally one name, and then in its later years before it closed, it was another name. And I asked him if he was an employee of either of those hardware stores, and he said no. And we went on and asked him stuff, and all of his answers were appropriate, except that I couldn't figure out what employee he was, because the two that I named, he said no to. And I really, at that point, was just like, I felt kind of dumb, because I thought, well, I'm not doing this right, because if as an employee of the hardware store, like, I don't know. Well, months later, I was doing some research.
There are people who think if you're trying to talk to a ghost, you're dumb. So don't worry about it.
Well, but what I found out was that there was a name change in 1930, and it became Williams Hardware. So it was Atkinson Williams, and then it was Williams, and then it was Speir. No relation to me. I didn't know about Williams. I didn't know about the 1930 name change at that point. And so thinking back on it, I'm pretty sure he must have been an employee of the 1930 Williams Hardware store, which is the one thing I didn't know about, and I didn't ask him, because all of his other answers were made sense and fit, except for that one. But that was because I didn't know what to ask.
That's cool.
But he's on fourth, and fourth is, if you want to say the word benign, to me, it's third is where it gets really weird. Fourth is usually very kind of calm, but it's actually where I probably personally have had more experience as far as seeing things or
On the
being on the fourth
floor. Yeah.
Yeah.
That you had up there for a while a ceremonial Indian headdress.
Oh, yeah.
And I took a picture of that and sent that off to Anita, and Anita said, "Don't touch that thing, bad juju." So we left it alone. So I don't know what you did with that, but last time I went up there, I didn't see it around.
It's been returned.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's been returned. We ain't touching that no more.
Well,
Good.
we human
They have
remains.
you according to Anita. So
Human remains what?
Yeah, we had human remains.
Oh.
Native, and so they have also been returned. But I mean, it's one of those things, we get so much that people the museum has been around since 1910. So I mean, it's one of the reasons why we have such a huge collection. And occasionally, those early folks just took almost anything.
yeah.
I've got some great armor from the 18th century that doesn't have anything to do with Fort Smith, but it's a great piece,
Cool to have.
Yes.
And from, once again, from a paranormal perspective, how cool is that? So
Right.
It's a king's armor. It's a unit that would have been like for the French king, like maybe their cavalry or something.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
If we get EVP from that, you wouldn't understand what it's saying.
That's
Probably.
from one of the
Only French word I know is "oui."
Oui. That's me too.
No, I always like like I said, I like the basement and going upstairs. Third floor is cool. That's where all your have all the records and stuff there too.
Yeah, and the third floor gets really personal. There's a lot of clothing, a lot of textiles, most of the dolls, documents, those things. They require a different humidity level than metal or some of your larger items. So those tend to be on third, and our larger items or collections are on fourth. So yeah, third gets really strange sometimes. There are times, even now, it hasn't happened in a little while, but there are times that the elevator has opened on third and I've walked off and it just, call it a vortex, I don't know, but I mean, you walk off and it is just literally spinning. And on days like that, I get back on the elevator and come back downstairs.
Oh, wow.
I don't like that.
What creeps me out there is the stairwell on the backside. I don't know why. And going from the second to third floor, I believe it is, I always feel, I don't get creeped out, but I feel like there's something there, and it's happened every time I've gone up there. And I don't know if I'm I don't, like I said, I don't get creeped out very easily, but but every time I go there, it's like something there with me at that, which to me is weird. So I don't know if my brain is sitting there. I got creeped out here once before. Maybe I get creeped out again. It doesn't work that way in other locations I go to, but just there, it always got me. And of course, you're running your DVR and you have to run cables. That's the best way to do it, to up that stairwell. And every time I do that, I'm like, man. Hey.
You know, it's funny you should say that, because a few years ago, it's probably been not too long before COVID, in that stairwell, we had we actually had some bricks. We had some bricks propping the door open. And one of our staff members came down that stairwell, and her description of it was that they skittered down at her.
Yeah.
Just literally left the door and just followed her down the stairs, and we could hear her screaming, and she was running down the stairs, and we thought she'd fallen down the stairs, and we got up and looked, and the door slammed shut, and one of our board members happened to be here, and he went and got a rubber stop so that we could stick it under the door and keep it safe. And it's been like that since then, but that those are her words. They skittered down the stairs after her.
No. I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got chill bumps on that one.
Yeah.
Do you think there could be some kind of a spirit guard on that floor?
A spirit what?
Guard.
Dog?
Guard.
Guard, like protecting something within that third floor?
Yeah. I don't know. All I know is it's creepy.
All the military.
Guards are creepy too.
So, you know, it's possible. I mean, that's where a lot of the clothes and textiles and all of our military uniforms are all on that floor.
Oh.
Could be a military.
Yep,
Old
military.
A lot of old military or what?
Most of them are, a few Korea, Vietnam, but World War II and earlier.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It could very well be some kind of a security guard or something, or MP.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just still working.
Yep.
Maybe so.
Interesting.
Before we go any further, let's go ahead and play that last. And I don't know how well everybody's going to be able to hear that. Shauna said she could hear that, but go ahead and play that one EVP.
That one EVP, I got you.
Yeah.
Ouch. That's my ass.
Yeah, my EVP actually.
All right. You want me to play the short version too?
Yeah, after you play the long one.
All right. Oh, I didn't play it for you. Hang on. Let me play it for you. One second. I'm sorry. I'm playing it for you now. Ugh.
Ouch. That's my ass.
Didn't hear it.
Yeah, I heard it. Especially the scalp at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tried it. Short one. Try the short one there.
Okay.
Friend. You're gonna get scalped, friend. You can really make out that scalped friend at the end there.
Wow.
Caroline's getting crazy back there. She's running away.
I'm sorry. My phone is telling me it's on low battery, and I was looking for something to plug it up with.
I thought you were wandering around because you heard something.
No.
She's like,
No.
crap, that was from here. Exit.
I'm sorry.
But that's where that one's like the easiest EVP to hear that we got, and it said you're gonna get scalped, friend, and all the other EVPs were like that. Nothing that we got there was like what you would call a Class A EVP, and when those are like, that's definitely saying that. We listen over and over and over and over again. That's what we hear. You're gonna get scalped, friend, and
Friend.
and we got, like I said, I got the Get Out. But that's pretty common EVP that ghost hunters get because we're intruding on their space. It's not anything evil. It's just we're bugging them type thing. But beyond all that, what you say you've had experiences over the years there.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say would be the most significant one to you?
There are two. Well, there's a lot of them, honestly, but there are two that recently stand out, and one of them is a little girl that I saw, and actually saw. And again, this one was on 4th, and it was. I had my daughters up there. My youngest daughter that was with me the story I told earlier about the elevator, she was with me then as well, but she was a much younger child. When I started with the museum, she was about 7. So she was maybe 9 or so then. And we have where Adrian was talking earlier about the pianos, there's a huge mezzanine up there, and we have doll houses near the back of this mezzanine.
Oh, and the doll houses.
Yes, yeah. Doll houses. So she was with me, and a little friend of hers was with her, and another friend of mine was up there, and I was showing them around, and we were talking and whatnot. And we were ready to go. And you know how you do with kids, like, come on. And then she didn't listen to me. And, and so I'm talking at the same time that I'm like yelling at the kids going, y'all come on, let's go on down, And after a few minutes of me talking and saying, hey, come on, I look back there and I see them still back at the doll houses. And I'm like, girls, come on. And my daughter, about that time, she's hearing me, and she comes around from completely the opposite side of the floor, around from the elevator. And she's looking at me. She goes, I'm right here. And I looked at her and I said, oh, well, then your little friend. I said, your friend is back there still, because I can see her. I just saw her walk. And she looks at me and she went, she's downstairs. And I said, no, she's right back there. I can see her. And it just hit me all of a sudden. I thought, oh, haunted. I know. Yeah. And really, when I think about it, what I was seeing was very nondescript, actually. My daughter was blonde-headed, and the little girl she was with was blonde-headed. And what I realized I was seeing was a profile of what looked like blonde hair, kind of gray, because I'm only seeing it from about chest level up. Yeah. So I just see it move is all it is. And I realized that because there's been reports of people who have reported seeing a little girl on different floors. And it was the same little girl where the kids were just back playing by the doll houses, and there she was. But plain as day, I mean, wow. I know what it was.
Wow.
But
wonder if that's one of the giggles that you heard.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe, because there's been a report that the little girl is redheaded. Depends on who you talk to. My little girl was blonde. So, who knows? But again, it's not scary. But I tell you the other thing is that I told you during COVID, it was quiet. And during COVID, there were times that I was here by myself working, just in the building by myself. And it had been so quiet during COVID. And one day after we opened back up in July of 21. We've been closed for 4 months. And I was in here by myself one day. There was a storm rolling in. It was coming up from the Gulf. I think it was Laura. But my office window, where I look out to the west, looks at the historic site. And it's gorgeous. It's like I'm looking at a sunset right now. It's beautiful. But the outer bands of Laura were coming in. It was a hurricane that was a tropical storm by the time it reached. And it was just this incredible view, and it was gorgeous. And I was watching it, and I got busy, and I'd sat back down to work. And when I looked back up again, it was just pitch black. It had moved on through. And I thought, well, I should probably go. And about that time, and this, well, it won't sound crazy to y'all, but about that time, all of a sudden, I just every hair on my body stood up, and I thought, okay. And I kept working. I was like, I'm going to ignore this. I'm going to keep working. And then it was just this overwhelming feeling. It felt like everything that resides in this place all of a sudden woke up after COVID and was like, what's going on? And hey, we have company. And it wasn't scary. It was just so overwhelming. And I think because it felt like just everything at once. And I've never been scared here, but I stood up and I thought, I need to leave. It was just so heavy.
Yeah.
And it was.
Totally
and I
understand what you're saying.
Yes. And I got on the elevator and went downstairs. And usually when you move locations, you kind of lose it, you know? Yeah. And when I got downstairs and walked out onto the front lobby, it was still just as heavy as it was there. And I couldn't get out of here fast enough. And Adrian, you'll know where this is, where we are. It took me halfway down Wheeler or Towson Avenue before I finally shook like the nerves. And when I came back in the next morning, I was on the phone with one of my other kids, and I got on the elevator and I said to her in the phone, I said, you know, if I could tell you if I could see them, I could tell you who was standing next to me. It was still that strong. And it felt like everybody just woke up after COVID. Like all of a sudden, oh, hey, there you are. I don't know, but it was mostly the fact that it was just so intensely heavy that it still gives me goosebumps when I think about that one. But again, it wasn't scary. It was just so heavy, but like it was everybody.
You know,
I wonder.
Go ahead, Ken.
I wonder if the storm that was coming in, you know, the air pressure changes and atmospheric pressures and everything just inflicted a source of energy, just an enormous amount that just triggered everything. You know, like the movie, what is it? The Stone of Akhman Ra. What was that? I can't think of what it was.
Mummy.
No, well, Mummy was one of them, but the one with with Ben Stiller. The one with Ben Stiller. But anyway, where everything kind of came to life. Midnight at the
museum. Midnight at the museum.
You know what I'm talking about?
The night of the museum.
Night at
the museum. Dinosaurs and all that came alive. I'm just wondering if like an influx of just supercharged energy just hit everything, and everybody's like, "Wow, this is great! Let's go party!" You know, kind of thing. And it just all happened at the same time.
Maybe.
Well, that's kind of was my take on it. It's one of the reasons I mentioned that the storm was rolling in, because that's kind of my take on it. I mean, because the air itself, even though I was inside the building, I mean, you could feel the intensity of the storm. You know, and it was, like I said, it had been a hurricane, you know, but I think it felt like all of that had something to do with it. Just my opinion, but yeah.
We'll have the exact opposite happen at that at the historic hospital that we're not supposed to mention. And, it'll be like really crazy, and then all of a sudden it'll just turn off. So what you had was the reverse of that. So I could understand how that would, if you went there and everything was, no pun intended, dead, and then all of a sudden it's on. I can see how that, if especially if you're not expecting it, and all of a sudden, boom, you're like, oh, okay. Time to go home.
We've had that happen before with our team.
I've been here long enough.
It was intense. It was very intense.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you got, not paranormally speaking, coming up at the museum? Because you guys are always doing events there.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find the charger again, y'all. We've got, in April, we're doing the Dalton trial. So it'll be a trial of the Dalton gang, which at one time were they were marshals, but then they became outlaws. So, and that'll actually take place in a reproduction of Parker's court, because we can't use the original furnishings. But that's what I'm working on there. That's April. We have something almost every month, man, Adrian. We're busy. It's the 90th anniversary of the rodeo. So we've got a rodeo exhibit going up, kids programming. We'll have this fall, you guys should come. We have a Hispanic art and culture exhibit, and they are going to do a live ofrenda in November for Day of the Dead.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
and that's
cool.
gonna be up the entire month of November.
Oh, definitely.
With live marigolds, the whole bit. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I'm bringing my camera too. So
yes, yeah, I think it's gonna be beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I might have to make a trip down there.
You should. I'll show you around.
It's a really nice museum.
It is.
And then just that area there, and because the courthouse there, the gallows there,
right
you have Adelaide Hall, just over there, and just a cool little part of town. So
it is a gorgeous place.
And the museum itself is now you personally, you're part of the historical society, right?
Well, I sort of I was, and I haven't paid my dues lately. So I consult sometimes. I need to do that. But yeah, I do work with them a lot.
You'd think the museum would deal with that. So, but the actual historical society is at the visitor center that I flubbed on earlier. Thankfully, before we were on the show.
Yeah, Miss Laura's. That's the Miss Laura's is on the National Register as well, and it's a house of prostitution. It's on the it's our visitor center in town though. So and it was a real bordello. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. It was it's been the visitor center for years and years now, but it's one of the surviving of a row of houses of prostitution.
Nice.
Wow.
We have all kinds of fun stuff here.
Not in business as such. They're a visitor center. So
correct. They're a visitor center, yes.
Don't go there getting frisky or trying to get frisky. Them ladies will beat you.
Oh gosh. Oh, ow. No. Well, that might be interesting. It might be good to, find out. I would let them do a little scratch on my arm just to get it to turn red so I could see, I mean, they may not like women though. Huh?
No, I think they do. At the visitor center, I do. I think, well, it was run by women. It was, of course, populated by women, employees, but they were almost all run by women. Several of them were anyway.
But we need to have people come and visit our wonderful city, our town, and the thing to definitely come check out, and the museum being one of the places you have to come see, just because it's all mostly local stuff there, right?
Yes.
Highlighting local things.
Yes.
So, and
we're private nonprofit, but we tell the city story.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And that's what's cool, because you come here and there's a lot to know, and it's all within walking distance of some other really cool places. So yes.
You can get all kinds of. The Marshall's Museum will open this fall. The historic site's open. Like I said, Miss Laura's got some art museum downtown.
The Marshall's Museum is supposed to open this fall?
Yep.
Okay. I know it kept getting pushed back.
It did. Yeah, they finally got a date though. But yeah, if you guys make the trip down, I mean, see the cool fire bell?
Yes.
It's an early fire bell.
Cool.
Fire alarm. But awesome. If y'all make that trip down, I'd be happy to show you around and show you what we're talking about and different artifacts, and it's a very cool place. It really is.
It is a cool place.
Awesome.
You're a cool person, and thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Absolutely. Anytime.
And you handled it really well. You said you seemed nervous about it, but you seem really like you're a pro.
No, like you're a pro.
I've done a few of them now, but still, I think I'm always nervous in the beginning. I'm more nervous about my phone dying than anything.
Well,
sorry about that.
The one thing about A.M.O.K here is we are such a train wreck at the beginning of the show. It's bound to put you at ease.
Oh yeah,
it was. Yeah, I did feel a little bit better after. No, I'm kidding.
Well, thank you so much for being on. I do want to do a shout out for one of my geeksters on my paranormal team. Today is my friend Kelly Preston's birthday.
Awesome. Happy birthday, Kelly.
I wanted to tell her happy birthday, and I hope to see her for many, many more years to come. She's the one that is going through the cancer stuff.
Absolutely.
So, yes, happy birthday, Kelly.
Happy birthday.
And
Caroline, do you actually participate in some of the investigations?
I do. I
Okay.
have. Yes.
Do you enjoy it?
Yes.
Cool.
I've had a few experiences over my life of outside of the museum that have gone on since I was a kid. So yes, it. I just try to be careful, but yeah.
Do you use any equipment at all, or just your personal senses?
Most of the time when I've been here, I've been with a group like Adrian, or we've had some other groups come in. Otherwise it's just what I experienced on my own. But here at the museum and with other groups, usually Adrian and Tina, but times I've gone with them. Would do what?
What'd you say, Adrian?
Things went awry.
Oh.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and
it has.
And,
well, good.
And yeah, you gave me some visuals as far as some of the things that you guys were talking about. I could kind of visually see some of them, like that guard. I mean, there's something there, Adrian, that didn't like you, and you weren't supposed to be there. So,
well, like I said, if you guys ever want to come down and look around, and happy to show you.
Oh, definitely.
That would be great.
Yes.
We are actually working on things, so maybe things happen. Maybe we can do something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, you're welcome and invited, or invited and welcome,
Well,
whichever it needs to be.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It is.
And at the end of the show, folks, I just wanted to say thank you again, Caroline, for coming down.
Yes,
you're welcome,
thank
Adrian.
you.
Thank you.
It was nice to meet you.
Very
nice to meet you all too.
And so happy it worked out.
Me too.
Everything went sideways, and yeah.
It's all right.
I feel vindicated now. I feel better.
That's awesome. I'm glad you do. I'm glad it all worked out. We got it. I told you we had it.
Hey, tell Tina I said hi.
I will.
Ken, what you got coming up next week?
Well, Pam and I are going to team up on this one, and she has contacted, I believe it's Lisa and Josh from Dark Ozark.
Yes.
So looking forward to that. This is about Missouri, so next week, but the great thing is that Pam knows the person from Missouri, and 2 weeks from now, or 3 weeks from now, whatever it is, I know a person from Kansas that she and I are also going to team up on. And that, you want to say something about that one? Hopefully, last I heard, she's still going to do it for us. But you want me to tell them, Pam?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
McIntyre Villa in Atchison, Kansas, and Stephanie O'Reilly has agreed to come on the air with us and chat with us. So again, I will be kind of co-hosting that night.
And Dark Ozarks, that's Lisa and Josh. They actually have just written a book called The Joplin Spooklight, and they have some amazing history on it, and I can't wait to read it. So I'm really excited to be able to bring them on so they can promote their book, and they have some really great stories too, all over pretty much the state of Missouri. So it should be a good show.
Awesome. That should be a great show. Oh yeah.
Yes.
That was a good show. I like that.
It was a good show. She's really nice.
Yeah, she is.
And all those billions of people out there, and
all the billions of people. Yes.
This time there's $1 billion and one this time.
Thank you all for tonight.
Yes.
We had good chat room activity going on. So
we did.
For sure.
Well, thank you guys, and so sorry. My energy has been really low today, so
it's been a Monday. It's been a very Monday Tuesday.
It's been a very Monday Tuesday.
Tuesday. All right. On that note, we'll tell you guys bye, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for being here.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.